Hi, it's Penny here, and today we're going to be putting together my TBR for the month of July, so all the books that I'm going to be trying to read in the month of July. And lately, I've been trying to make my TBRs a little bit more realistic, especially because my boyfriend moved in, which has really changed when I read a little bit. It meant I read a little bit less, but not necessarily in a bad way. Anyway, the way that I'm trying to make my reading realistic is that each week I want to have one physical book to read and one audiobook to read. That, I think most of the time, that's pretty realistic for me. Not always, but most of the time. So we're going to try that for a little while and see how we go. So in July, we have 6 weeks that have part of July in them. July starts in the first week and actually ends on the first day of the last week, but we're going to count it because I need 6 weeks. Because in terms of the physical books, I already have one book that's going to hang over from June. I also have a library book, and the third Brandon Sanderson Secret Project book are going to come out. And then, as usual, I do also want to pick 3 books from my physical TBR shelf to put on my TBR, so we need those 3 more slots. But actually, in terms of my goal of getting to TBR 0, the only books on my physical TBR shelf now is this pile here. It's getting so small. Basically, it's 4 books that are all by New Zealand authors. I kind of want to keep these aside and do like a New Zealand author reading vlog maybe a little bit later in the year. I did film one a little while ago and I really enjoyed all the books. I actually, while I was sick, also filmed another one and I didn't really like the books and I was sick, and you never saw that vlog because it was too awful. But I would like to read these maybe all together at some point. I can't read 4 books in a week, but I'd like to come up with a plan for that. And then I have these 6 books. So really, I should be able to finish these off in the next 2 months, as long as I can make the TBR machine prompts work. So we'll see how we go with that. So I will tell you a little bit more about the 3 books that I already put into slots, but firstly, let's pick the prompts from the TBR machine and see what those books are going to be. Okay, so the first prompt is going to be, read a book that has a number in the title. Okay, I am going to be creative. Probably I should pick Singularity by Charlotte Grimshaw, which is like a New Zealand author. I think this is a book of short stories. To be honest, I just picked this up from a little free library yesterday, and I don't really know much about it. I actually saw that it didn't have a great average rating on Goodreads, and I don't normally like short stories, but I do like the concept of singularity, and it's a New Zealand author, so I thought I would pick it up anyway. To be honest, I don't really want to read this right now. Will I ever want to? I'm not sure, but we're going to put that aside for now, and I'm going to be more creative. What I am going to pick up is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Now you might say, where's the number in that? Well, it's the letter 1, the letter N, and the letter E. There is the number 1. Is it cheating? Probably. Is it my game? Do I make my own rules? Yes. Yes, I do. So I'm going to read this one. What I know about this is it's basically this young boy. I think his mother is really sick, and every night this monster visits him and tells him stories. I think it's a very emotional story. Supposedly now a film, although I've never heard many people talk about the film. But anyway, I guess I will read this and see if it can make me cry. Also, it's fairly short, so that's a bonus. Okay, then let's pick the second prompt. We have got, read a book with blue on the cover. We can do that. I'm sure we can do that. Yes, we are going to pick this one. So this is actually interesting because for a long time I had never seen this cover until I found this in a book fair, and I was very impressed with myself for even recognizing this at the book fair. But this is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I'll put the other cover here just so you can see what it's like. You might have seen that one around. And as far as I know, this is just a story about a woman who lives her life over and over again. Maybe her whole family does that. The back just says, what if you had the chance to live your life again and again until you finally got it right? And it's got this random dog on the back, so I guess there's going to be a dog. But I really like stories where there is some kind of living your life over and over again dynamic, so I think I'll love this. I hope so. It's a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I've got to read these long books at some point, so that's fine. Okay, and then we will pick the final prompt, and it will be, read a book set in a school or a university. Well, I don't have a lot of choice. So what I think I'm going to do is pick The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin, because it says that it starts with 4 adolescents on the cusp of self-awareness. Like, the adolescents, they must be going to school. Is it properly set in a school? Probably not. But it's the best we can do. So that's what we're going to do. This one, what I believe it is when they're younger, adolescents, in school, they go along and they see some kind of traveling psychic who tells them the day they will die. And then we're just following along with their life and seeing how this prophecy affects the way that they live their lives. Originally, I did see lots of positive reviews for this. As often happens, then I saw some more negative ones. But again, it's kind of that idea of how knowing the future might affect the past. So it's a concept I really like, and I'm hoping I'll really love this. Fingers crossed. Okay, so then before we look at the stack of books that I have to read in July, let me tell you about the books that are already filling spots. So firstly, we have The Last Arguments of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. This is the third book in the First Law trilogy that I've been really loving, following a bunch of morally grey characters who kind of get wrapped up in this magical conflict as well as this conflict between warring nations or warring empires. This was on my June TBR and I'm still hopeful to start it in June, but it's very unlikely I'm going to finish it. But I'm really excited to get to this. Actually, the main reason I need to hurry up and get to this is I kind of ruined my library hold timing, and I already got Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie, which is the next book in the First Law world. I don't know if this is the beginning of another trilogy. I think maybe. I've been avoiding looking at the synopsis because I think it might spoil the First Law trilogy a little bit, like the first trilogy. So all I know is this is the next book I will need to read, and it's due back at the library soon, and there's a hold queue, so I probably shouldn't have requested it as soon as I did, but I didn't think it would come as quickly as it did. Anyway, I'll need to read this very early in the month. So I've actually put it in the third week, I think, because in the second week, or kind of the first week of full July, I will be reading the third Secret Project book by Brandon Sanderson, even though I probably won't receive the physical book. I haven't actually even received my June box yet, which I'm a little bit grumpy about. But anyway, the third Secret Project book will be coming out. I'll get the ebook on the 1st, but I'll read it whenever I've finished The Last Argument of Kings. I don't really know much about it other than that I think it's a Cosmere book. I also think it's a Hoyd book, which I'm less excited about because Hoyd isn't my favorite character. But I think I did read the synopsis and I purposefully forgotten it because I kind of like going into it blind, but I can like fake going in blind if I use my bad memory to my advantage. But I think it sounded the most like something by Brandon Sanderson that I might actually like, so fingers crossed. Because the first two Secret Project books, like I didn't mind Tress, but I really didn't like The Frugal Wizard's Guide to Surviving Medieval England. And so this one, I don't know, I guess we'll see. So that means these will be the physical books that I'm reading in the month of July, plus the Secret Project book, which I'll read as an ebook, so I guess it doesn't count as a physical book. This adds up to 2,357 pages, which normally, or at least the last 3 months, I've read about 3,000 pages a month. So, like, this should be under even once we add in the Secret Project book. So I think it should be doable. Hopefully. Okay, then let's talk about audiobooks. So firstly, I do still need to read the audiobook for Son of a Witch, which was on my June TBR. This is the sequel to Wicked, which is like a Wizard of Oz retelling, but primarily following the Wicked Witch. This, I think, though, is actually following her son. I did read this about 20 years ago, but I've completely forgotten what really happens, so I'm looking forward to reading that. I'm probably going to try and put this in the second week because I actually have a library book that's due back in 10 days and it's going to return itself because there's a whole queue. So I need to read it in the first week, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I don't know if I'm going to like this because I think it's more of a contemporary, but I think as well it's like dark academia, which I wanted to read more dark academia books, which is why I picked this up. But I really don't know if I'm going to like it, but I kind of just wanted to try it. This is probably a candidate for, like, if I'm not enjoying it, I should DNF it. I'm generally still pretty bad at DNFing books, but we'll try. Then actually the next audiobook I have is another one that's probably a candidate for DNFing if I'm not enjoying it, because my argument for why I picked it up is probably kind of weak, but that is Paris, the memoir. So I have never been a fan of Paris Hilton. I generally don't like celebrities or celebrity culture, but I did like, I think a couple of years ago, she released that documentary and I watched it for some unknown reason and I actually found it really interesting. So I guess I'm going to read her memoir and see whether that's interesting. It's really short, so I'll probably get through that one actually, unless she's really annoying me, which I don't think she will, but we'll see. Then we will end off the month with some fantasy audiobooks. So I've got A Darker Shade of Magic by Victoria Schwab. In September, I think, the next spin-off series for that series is coming out, so The Fragile Threads of Power. And before that comes out, I want to reread A Darker Shade of Magic, because I don't think I've reread it since I originally read it when it came out, or maybe a little bit after it came out. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. But this series is set in a world where there are multiple Londons that are all connected. So there is Grey London, which is our London and doesn't have any magic. There's Red London, which is really vibrant and luscious with magic. There's White London, which is kind of dead and dying because of magic, and then there's Black London that's been locked off and nobody talks about it. And there is some characters that are able to move between different Londons, including Cal, who is being a bit naughty and like smuggling items between the different Londons. And then also, like, it's a really interesting series that kind of escalates from there. I really enjoyed it when I first read it, so hopefully I will enjoy my reread as well. I thought I'd read one a month until the new book comes out. I think if I start in July, August, September, I'll probably be running a little bit late, but also I suspect it's going to take me a little bit of time to get my hands on it, because I'll either have to wait for it to come through at the library, or I don't think I'm going to buy it, so I'm probably waiting on the library. It's unlikely I'm going to get it straight away. But that's okay, because it's not like a series I love. It's just a series I would like to continue. Or at least I'd like to see where she takes it next. And then I'm going to read the audiobook for A Memory of Light, which is the last book in the Wheel of Time series. What the hell? I made it to the end. Yes, I cheated. Yes, I read the plot summaries from book 8 to book 11. Whatever. I have not necessarily been enjoying books 12 and 13, but like I have thought that with Brandon Sanderson's writing style, they're much improved, or at least they're much more suited to my tastes, and they're much more like tolerable. And there have been some good moments. So like, I'm hoping that last book is going to really bring everything together. Fingers crossed. Because I really want this whole journey to have been worth it. It is worth it. Regardless, I'll be able to now talk about the Wheel of Time with people and like just have a better understanding of one of the foundational series in fantasy, I guess. Anyway, I'm excited to be getting to the end. So that's something. Then the last week of July, I'm still a little bit iffy on what audiobook I will read. However, what I have been trying to organize is getting Northern Lights and the Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. I actually put Northern Lights on my TBR a couple of months back, and then I got behind and I didn't get to the audiobook in time, and it returned itself and I had to go back on the super long hold queue. So I think it should come in around the end of July, and I'm going to try and put a hold on the Subtle Knife to have it come in at the same time. Will that work out? Who knows? Probably not, but I'm going to try. If that doesn't work out, I do have the audiobook for In the Ruins by Kate Elliott, which is the 6th book in the Crown of Stars series, which is like this epic fantasy, battles over thrones and all sorts of like magical creatures and dark magic. I really struggle with reading those books physically, so I might pick up that audiobook. I guess we'll see. Anyway, this is going to be my reading plan for the month of July. I think I can do it. But you never know, I could be wrong. Let me know if you've read any of these books, whether you think I'm going to like them, and of course check back in at the end of the month when I will do a wrap up on all the books that I've read and let you know my thoughts. And I will also do reading vlogs along the way if you want to know like more in-depth thoughts. Oh, and let me know what books you're reading in the month of July. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.